if even, let's just say one infrastructure, let's say it's one, like one critical infrastructure which uses this IT solution, and it's an interconnected IT with a massive support and this and that, and it's an integrated system. Revamping away from that system could cost billions of dollars more than just awarding them the contract. It could cost them way more.
Is there any evidence that it would have cost them more?
Well, that would listen. When you're asking me, so what you're asking me right now is to give you specific proofs that hey, even though it's critical infrastructure, right? Couldn't it have been cheaper, possibly, Andrew, to have gone with this? It's like maybe, but that would be your burden to bear. I'm just pointing out to you. I'm pointing out to you something which is pretty obvious. That if you're going to move away from the idea of revamping, this infrastructure for some reason, that there could be good, legitimate reasons for that. So you're just showing, in other words, you're just showing me a chart and saying, well, Trump gave these companies who also outsource more tech. It doesn't mean that he did that because he's playing favorites. It could be as simple as, we need these component manufacturers for some reason in regards to national security. General Electric, for sure. You wouldn't dispute that with GE, right?
Probably not. So assuming,
probably not.
Probably not. So assuming that the contracts that were awarded were in relation to companies' goods or services that not do national security, then in that case, we agree that that's anti-worker.
Maybe. It would depend again. So here, let me explain why. So apparently you and I have different definitions of what national security is. I think of the United States as a system, as an enclosed system. All infrastructure is dependent on all other infrastructure, right? There's some infrastructure that if it went down, it would be less painful than others, right? Like if the trains went down, that would be a catastrophe. If a truck logistics went down, that would be a catastrophe. There could be like localized infrastructure. Even you yourself have dealt with this. Have they ever been doing road work on a critical piece of infrastructure just in your locality in Miami where you had to take a scenic route and it was a fucking pain in the ass, right? Like it sucked, right?
I had to do construction. I don't know if it was on critical infrastructure.
Well, it's critical infrastructure, right? I mean, it is, because if you're talking about taking thousands of people and delaying them for up to 20 or 30 minutes, right? That could cause critical problems. Let me explain. It can cause critical problems with ambulance response. It can cause critical response for police response. Critical problems for police response. It can cause critical problems with restoration of basic services like power and water. It causes delays in these things, which potentially can lead to death. That's why when you have infrastructure like that on byways and main stretches, they try to keep those detours within a few minutes, right? They always try to make, that's why...
Not in Miami, my friend.
Yeah, well, it depends on where you're at, but they try to, and the reason they
Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
Yeah, not in Miami, but okay, point taken. We've been going on for 2.5 hours. I just want to get through 2 more points. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Last point, I think these ones are a bit quicker. Do you have like 10-15 more minutes, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but just remember, I've been humoring you a lot, right? By just answering every question you ask. But I want this to be reversed after you ask this series, and it's my turn to ask you some. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And I want you to actually answer them. I don't want you to pivot. Go ahead.
Are they going to be relevant to the topic?
Yeah, but the problem with you is that you don't understand that everything that I'll talk to you about when it comes to being co-worker has been relevant to the topic. But go ahead.
I don't know how whether China is going to be invading Taiwan because of troops or because of imperial.
Do you think that would be good for the American worker? Yeah, I think it matters, right? But okay.
Let's get back to this. Okay. So, how would you account for the fact that Trump took over $1 million during his 2016 campaign from the primary payday loan industry? And when he took office, there were investigations into several payday loan companies which were charging 50% plus other deceptive business practices. And Trump just literally axed all of those investigations.
How did Trump axe it?
He put his, who would it be? It would be so there's an decision going on, probably either a special counsel or it could be one of the government agencies. But yeah, just have to stop.
Okay, can you show me the proof that Trump instructed his Department of Justice to drop all investigations in the payday loan industry?
If Trump appointed someone who did that, then wouldn't Trump have some responsibility?
I mean, that doesn't mean, okay.
I can't do that.
So if this is the case, right, then that's a different claim. You say that Trump shut down investigations because he was being paid money by these lobbyists. That's what your actual claim is.
I didn't actually say it was because of that.
Then why did you bring it up?
Because I think it's relevant.
How?
I need to get
Because I think people are free to make see whether there's a connection or not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should
And the connection is corruption. It's a corrupt connection. That's what you're trying to say.
Whether it's corrupt or not is irrelevant. I'm just giving you a fact. I'm not making any kind of claim.
Yeah, but it's connected how? It's connected because what you're actually trying to say here, and let's see, just don't lie about this, right? What you're trying to say here is the payday loan industry gave Trump a bunch of money to pay campaign, and then when he got into office, shut down the investigations. That's what you're trying to say, right?
What I said, yeah.
Okay, great. Can you show me where Trump instructed his Department of Justice to shut down these investigations?
Well, I don't know if he instructed someone directly, but I do know that the people he appointed shut down those investigations.
So
if people he appointed are the kind of people that shut down those investigations, that would be anti-worker.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that has.
We have our duties, adventurer. Duties to the horde.
Anti-pro-worker have to do with some guy in his administration potentially could be anti or pro-worker. So I would just like the evidence. I would just like the
responsibility for who he.
I think it's unreasonable to think that Trump is going to know every single thing which is going on with his Department of Justice. That's why you have oversight. You have oversight committees, and you have other people who are looking at it until it requires the attention of the president himself. I would like to see when Trump himself directed his Department of Justice to drop these investigations.
Sure. So if Biden appointed someone to the, let's just say, I don't know, let's say the IRS or whatever the relevant agency is, and that person completely got rid of the ability of churches not to pay income property taxes.
Well, who in the Trump administration shut him down even?
Yeah, I can pull up the...
Yeah, so let's pull this up. Let's just look at it real quick.
Sure. Okay, let me share my screen. Here we go. They're not telling us enough back. So let's go through this. Miscellaneous Consumer Financial Protection Bureau finally closed. Okay, it was a PB. Investigation to payday lender headquartered in Mulvaney, Somerset, Monday. And here's where it leads to Trump. So just scroll down a little bit. Regardless, he moved until last week. Someone was partner. Today has some lines on this. Was a few hundred miles. Just right here on the 14th step. The rules governing safety and this move. I think I have the wrong article. Let me just pull it up.
I can't do that yet. 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 I'm out of range. I can't do that yet. I need to get closer. I can't do that yet.
Hey mate. Your energy and content are top-notch, keeping me entertained. I would love to be a fan of yours. If you don't mind, kindly add me on Discord, Seun064_.
I can't do that yet.
Did you put the prayer out?
Give me like 1 minute.
I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet.
From this newspaper, okay. Let me find a different one.
I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet. I need to get closer. I can't do that yet.
So it looks like a whistleblower inside the CFPB. So this was an Obama era, which was rolled back, Alex, from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, I don't know. Obviously I don't know very much about it. Neither do you. But a whistleblower inside the CFPB charged in August of 2019, his bosses had ordered staff economists to make a study that they downplayed harm to consumers who repeatedly take out payday
I
loans.
can't do that yet.
However, the study itself is not claiming that. He's just saying that it was rigged to claim
I
that.
can't
So
do that.
let me just be an ultimate charitable here as I can possibly.
I can't do that yet.
I think that payday loans themselves are hyper-predatory. Do I know if Trump himself was in some way involved, or just his White House or his administration rolling back this particular rule for interest caps, right? I have no clue. I would say that that's a bad policy. I would not support such a policy, but I wouldn't say it's good evidence that he's anti-worker. You can make the argument the other direction, for instance, though I myself would actually disagree with this, that allowing workers to have access to short-term payday loans that have a 2-week back where they're being charged $25, even though it's 5%, it'd still be better than getting kicked out of your house having that option. Now, I think all loans like this are hyper-predatory, and that these agencies or these places should be completely shut down.
I can't do
Whether it's by Biden, Trump, or whoever, I would applaud them for doing that. So, would you say that this is a regulation for the worker? Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe, but I don't think that is good evidence that Trump is anti-worker. Even if I grant the entire thing, even if I knew that Trump knew about it, I wouldn't say that it's
I can't do
anti-worker
that yet.
or that he had his overarching
I
policy.
can't do that yet.
Well, this will be, I appreciate you being careful. This will be one piece of, this would just be one piece of evidence amongst many,
Yeah.
right? If this alone is true, that wouldn't make Trump anti-worker, right? There was like
It's too
7
far
other things
away.
that are true, then
I
that
can't
would
do
just
that.
There were 7 other things or 8 other things I agree were true. And you haven't demonstrated any of those things. So, but on this, listen, I'll just grant it, right? All predatory lending agencies should be shut down. They should be tried for treason. Well, okay, that's too much. I'm joking, kind of. I think that predatory lending is one of the worst practices in the United States, and that it should be shut down tomorrow. And that Biden should shut it down before he leaves office. He should just shut it down on his way out, and Trump should leave it dead. It's a horrible practice. It's horrific what they do to people to get them inside of these loan loops. I've had to take one out myself when I was much younger. I took out a payday loan. It took me like 6 months to finally get out of that loop. It was a big pain in the ass. I was firsthand, it was hyper-predatory, and I've looked at the data on how predatory it is. So, yeah, it's something which needs to be addressed. I just don't think that we can demonstrate that Trump is anti-worker.
Yeah, let me be charitable.
I can't do that yet.
I can't provide any evidence that
I can't do that yet.
So, one admitted, I do think that one of the most important roles of the president is to appoint people to important positions, and I think you're responsible for the people you appoint, and that this person basically acts this investigation into the party.
Well, you can say that all presidents are anti-worker. I venture to be predatory agencies against development by that same metric.
I think it's worse when you actually destroy investigation.
I can't do
looking
that
into
yet.
this.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I
if
can't do
that's.
that. I can't do
Look,
that yet.
ultimately, I just concede and grant the entirety of it, right? Because it just
I can't do
ultimately
that
doesn't
yet.
matter, right? So these are predatory loan agencies. They need to just be shut down, period, regardless of the administration.
Okay, I'm glad you grabbed that point. Let me just move on to the last one.
Is that one more?
No, it won't be long. I don't think. So this is the point I raised in my opening statement: is that Trump has been deeply anti-union. I hope you don't mind me asking, Andrew, but are you personally in a union?
No.
Okay.
I can't do that.
Okay. So he stacked the NLRB with union busting corporate
I can't do
orders.
that.
Maybe with some just like actual policies. The Trump administration changed the rules. All applies for retirement pay. They keep putting workers ineligible, costing them over $1 billion per year in lost wages. Trump made it easier for employers to fire or penalize workers who speak up for better pay and working conditions or exercise the right to strike. Trump threatened to veto legislation that will raise the minimum wage to $15 per hour to also help workers, despite promising not to do during his campaign, and generally made it harder to form a union. And also, for just know a lot more like his personal mindset, during a podcast with Elon, he praised Elon for mass firing striking workers.
I can't
And
do
he
it.
himself revealed that he tried to avoid overtime pay. The exact quote is, "I hate to give overtime. I hated it. I shouldn't say this. But I get the people in. I wouldn't pay. I hated it." So yeah, how would you counter that?
Well, I would say that unions are generally a net bad for society in general. And union busting is a really
Well done, adventurer. The centaur are low, brutish creatures, but a few have the wit and vision to lead, and those are the most dangerous. Barack was such a centaur. It is good that he is dead.
Will do things like steal pensions and all sorts of different things. So union funds traditionally have been very corrupt. Union dues have been misallocated, misappropriated. There's very little oversight for it. And you know why there's very little oversight? Is because the unions themselves lobby that there shouldn't be so much oversight. They lobby the government on the one hand to make sure that there's union protection, and then lobby the government on the other hand to make sure that there's no oversight of what they're doing with the union itself, because it's for workers' rights. Most of the kind of offensive safety regulations which are put in, some unions are responsible for, but others no, right? We already have an agency which does this called OSHA. OSHA is not, they don't take standard safety regulations already. Unions themselves, right, aren't doing anything additional that workers themselves can't bring up anyway. So it's usually just a dues scam. It's usually just a complete dues scam, and that's it. So you're saying, well, like, okay, you didn't raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Yeah, good. That's a good policy. The thing is that you want entry-level jobs for people to cut their teeth, especially when they're teenagers, things like that. You don't need to set a federal wage to $15 an hour. Control the market, accommodate for that. You know what I mean? It's not necessary for the federal government to go in and start fucking with these localized economies. $15 an hour could be a lot depending on where you are, and it could be very little depending on where you are too. So when you make a one-size-fits-all policy for how much you pay in the federal minimum wage, it could actually hurt workers. So let's say, for instance, you made a federal minimum wage act where a place was already paying more minimum wage than what the federal government wants to pay, or says that they have to by law. They could actually reduce what they're paying their workers based on the fact that now you have the federal mandate for minimum wage and just come into compliance with it. So, no, I'm not a big fan of unionization anyway. And then you have another problem too, which is that unions can usurp the authority of the person who's actually in charge of the business. It's almost a hostile takeover, and this has been done many times as well. So, no, I'm not a big fan of unions. Union busting is fine. It's private industry. It's really not your fucking business, right? What private industry is doing with its workers, not your concern.
Okay, true or false? Workers in unions make more money than workers who are not in unions.
Well, wait a second. It is true, but there's a problem with this, which is that oftentimes union workers will be working in their union job for 20 years, right, at a set wage, and then the union will vote to increase wages to that which the guy who's been working there for 20 years has, right, which creates fundamental unfairness in the workforce. Now, the other thing is that unions at scale, compared to the market economy where there's no unions, They don't do very well. They get their asses kicked. Localized plumbers can kick the holy hell out of a local union hall, for instance. And they do all the time. Localized industry can compete, and literally, so what unions do is they say, oh, wait a second, we want rules for everyone in this industry that says you can't take a union job, or you can't come and work on a union dock, or you can't compete with a union dock. And what it does is it takes the industry and monopolizes it. So there's all sorts of problems with unions.
I'm not denying that there's some problems with unions, but okay. So, but you do agree with the fact that while you believe it causes what's it called, unfairness, you do believe that union jobs pay more than non-union jobs, all things being equal.
Well, I don't know if that's the case now. It definitely used to be the case, but no, I don't think, if all things being equal, I'm not sure if that's the case now. That union jobs, maybe in specific trades that's the case, but I don't think across the board that's true. I don't think that just because you're in a union that you're going to get paid more across the board. No.
Okay. When did America have the strongest middle class?
The strongest middle class? Well, so class tiers, I would say, you think, and it's in the entirety of its history, or just like the 20th century?
I'm out of range.
Century.
So in the 20th century, I'd say probably the strongest middle class was in the 50s.
I can't do that yet.
50s, 60s,
I can't
70s, I
do
would say.
that.
And during those times, there was very strong
I
unions.
can't do that
Yes
yet.
or not? Yeah. Okay. So I don't see how unions, if we take into
can't
account
do that
the
yet.
middle
I
class,
can't do that
it seems
yet.
like the
can't do
time when the
that
middle
yet.
class was the strongest.
Unions
was
bank,
only
unions bankrupted the entire auto industry at one point. That was unionization which did that, because they were demanding these massive wages from the private entities which owned these automotive industries. So what happened in places like Michigan is plants like Delphi completely shut down. They shut down because they couldn't pay these ridiculous wages anymore, or the pensions. What happens with this scam is these union members pay the dues into a pension fund.
I can't do
And,
that
and
yet.
but the pension funds were getting access outside
I
of
don't
going
have
to
a problem.
pensions. And so they were banking on having enough young people come in for the industry to stay, X amount of strong to continue to pay these people's pensions after they worked at the union for 20 years. And it became unfeasible. They couldn't pay out these massive pensions anymore. They couldn't do it. So it actually shut these industries down. And a lot of them sourced out to other nations because they didn't want to pay these massive payments to workers.
I can't
So
do
no,
that yet.
unions have a big downside. It's not all upside. In the beginning, you have some unionization of workers in the 50s. Yeah, I would say that there's a strong middle class, but I would argue that that's because post-World War II, we had a lot of things which were going on for us. Including baby boom, economy. We had just conquered the entire world. Like, there was a lot of reasons why we had middle classes, not because of.
Okay, so you think unions are completely irrelevant to America having the strongest middle class?
I'm not saying that they're completely irrelevant. I'm saying that ultimately, if you did not have unions in the 50s and 60s, you still would have had a very robust middle class.
Sure, but they played a role. They helped a bit, at least, right?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, they cause more problems. Like unions, it depends on which. It's like there's some unions. Unions used to be very anti-immigrant labor. Okay, they used to be very anti-immigrant labor, specifically because they were trying to protect their workers from from immigrants coming in and taking those jobs at a lower wage. Like, that was really useful and helpful, right? In fact, early union advocates would advocate an anti-immigration, more isolationist message. But now, no, unions don't do that anymore. Unions instead they're not really there to protect the wages of workers. They're there to collect dues. It's become a scam. They're not really protecting wages. Like, protecting wages from what? From business owners saying, I'm going to pay you less, which they're allowed to do. Like, don't you think that you have the right to pay your workers whatever the fuck you want? It's your company.
Sure, but I think we're arguing about pro-workers, not business.
Yeah, but I mean, that is pro-worker. It's pro-worker if a worker can start a business, right? That is pro
union.
worker.
Well, and he's no longer a worker. Like,
You are a worker. You think because you own your business, you're not a worker anymore? Yeah, I think you're still a worker.
so do you think everyone's a worker?
Yeah, well, I mean, no. I'm not saying that everybody. I'm not saying everyone's a worker, but I am saying that many people own businesses. Like if you own a small plumbing business and you have 3 employees, that doesn't mean that your ass isn't getting your seats every day. Like you're still a worker. You just happen to be a worker who also employs people. So it's like the idea here is that if you're in that situation, there's some
I can't do
states
that yet.
which passed all sorts of crazy ass union laws. Like if you had more than 10 employees, they could unionize and essentially seize your business
I
from
can't
you.
do that yet.
Like this is not good policy at all. And no, I'm not thrilled with unionization
I can't do
by
that
any
yet.
metric. And you say, well, you also have to be a lot of unions. But they had a completely different idea of how to do things. Alex, do you think that it was good in the 50s that unions were anti-immigrant labor?
I have mixed thoughts on that, but generally, I would say probably yes.
What about anti-female labor? No. Okay, right. So, wait a second. So the stated union goals then,
I
right?
can't do that
Maybe a
yet.
key component
I
that
can't
may
do
have
that
made these
yet.
unions work, which would correlate with, at the robust middle class, you're against
I
those
can't do
policies
that
to begin
yet.
with. So the thing is like,
Yet.
unions can also have a discriminatory effect in what they advocate for. You got to be really careful with this idea of
I can't do that yet.
unionization
I can't
just
do that
being a
yet.
blanket good and union busting being bad. And so, no, I would say I don't think that it's anti-worker to bust up unions. No.
I'm saying that I think in general, listing up unions as anti-worker. And let me just get into a specific, and then we can move on to your questions. So, don't you think it is anti-worker for the Trump administration changing the rules about who qualifies for overtime pay, making more than 8 million workers ineligible? Like, don't you think that act alone is anti-worker?
No. It depends on what these unions' intentions
I
are. Like,
can't do that
again, you just saying, well, wait a second,
I can't do
it's
that
good
yet.
for these guys pay. It's like,
Can't do
okay,
that
but on
yet.
the other hand, you're also curtailing unions. You're also curtailing unions from making demands which could bankrupt the places which the workers are working for, which could include X amount of overtime pay being necessary to the security of the worker. You know what I mean? It's like, that's really not for these people to make these determinations on.
Well, the premise of a union is that you have collective. As if you're just a person by
You
yourself.
have collective bargaining anyway. You don't need a union. You get collective
I
bargaining
can't
no
do
matter
that
what.
yet.
That's what you put every single worker that you have and say, do this or else.
Yeah, except they will fire you for that.
Oh, well, why can't they fire you in a union? Because the union says you're not allowed to fire us because we can hold you hostage
I can't
against
do
the
that
policies
yet.
that we
I
want.
can't do
We're not
that
socialist Alex. You don't get to collectively bargain against your employer because there's no.
I can't do that
It's
yet.
a more plain, equal playing field.
No, it doesn't provide a more equal playing field.
It's
They
too far.
see they're seizing the means of
do that
production.
yet.
Pure socialism. What they're doing is saying,
I'm out of range.
we collectively, as workers, can tell you, the employer, how it is that you need to run your business and in which way it's going to be run.
You can just get your employees.
No, he can't. You can't just fire them. That's what unions do. They set up policies. You can't just fire employees based on the fact that you want to replace your workforce because they're striking. That's what union busting is. Union busting is the idea that you can fire your entire workforce, thus busting up the union, or fire the bad actors in the union that you no longer like to bring other ones in. That's what union busting is. Collectivization of workers so that they can tell the employer how they have to run X thing.
No, it's not how you run this thing. It's
Yes,
not,
it is.
hey, here's the thing.
Wait, what?
I
No.
can't do that
Okay.
yet.
If you, let's say you're at a plant, okay, that had like 30 workers on the production line putting screws in a pack or something stupid like this, okay, and it was unionized, okay, and they said, we're all going to go on strike, and the plant owner's like, okay, you're all fucking
I
fired.
can't do that yet. I can't
The
do that
union's
yet.
job is to stop that from happening. The union's job is so that you cannot be
I
fired
can't do that
while
yet.
you're collectively bargaining for whatever it is that you want. And so what they do is they petition
I can't
government
do that.
to make sure
I can't do
that there's
that
rights
yet.
for
I
unions
can't do that
where
yet.
you can't bust them up. You
I
can't be
can't
like,
do
and
that
by the
yet.
way, that ring leader over there, I don't like him. The guy who started all this collective bargaining, so he's fired, right? That's what they do.
Yeah, so interesting you say that, because under Trump's NLRB, he made it easier for employers to fire or penalize workers who speak up for better pay and working conditions or exercise the right to strike.
Yeah, so he's busting up unions. Yeah.
Do that yet.
But we're saying that
I
you
can't
can't.
do that.
Yes, Alex, I think that you, a business owner, have the right to fire whoever the fuck you want, whenever you want to, because it's yours. Yes. That's what I think, Alex.
I think the problem is that when we saw before any unions, before we saw any regulation in terms of this, we saw in the late 1980s and even the early 1900s, what we saw is basically people working in conditions. We saw them working 70 hours a week in very dangerous conditions.
This is a fallacious argument. Modernity. So you're making it a fallacious argument for modernity.
It's too far away.
Saying, okay,
I can't
listen,
do
at
that.
the time, it don't have the same
I can't do
technology,
that
it didn't
yet.
have power, it didn't
I
have
can't do
any
that
of the
yet.
even
I can't do that
it
yet.
changed. It was changing already before unions, Alex. Workers could still collectively do things if they wanted to against an employer. What's stopping workers from all quitting their job the same day? What?
It's just not correct.
Oh, right. So the thing is, it's like,
And as soon as
by the way, we have government oversight already called OSHA and other agencies to go in and look at the safety issues of various employers and things like this, including safety officers, which sometimes if a company's X
I
size,
can't do that yet.
they have to have a safety officer on board. There's all sorts of government regulations for it now. Now, you say unions came in, and they made all of that possible. That's a great union talking point, but the truth is, it's technology that made all of that possible, not unions. Unions are all that they've ever tried to do is collectivize workers, because they're basically, by the way, the original unions were run by communists, Alex, and socialists. They were run by communists and socialists. Those are the guys like Haas now are the ones saying we need more unions.
I don't really care who
Not
whether they were socialists,
I can't do that.
no worshippers,
I can't do
just
that
go back
yet.
to this point, and then
Actually, no, we need to get to Andrew's questions.
Yeah, my questions,
Push
please.
closing.
alright. Do you mind if I take a piss first?
Yeah.
And we'll get into it?
It's too far away. I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet.
I'm gonna go through a few of the supers while we're waiting on him. So happy to be all day. Female moderator. See PW and Andrew back together.
I'm out of range. I can't do
That's
that
really
yet.
hard.
I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet.
Alex is like, Kristen knows, of
I
course.
can't do that yet. I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet.
Moderator mumbles. He makes pretty good content. My bad. I gotta fix that.
Luckily, that's actually technically my birthday now.
Oh, well, happy birthday, and answer some questions of mine, Alex.
I'd be happy to. Just
Okay.
roughly, how long do you think they will take?
Well, it depends on the length of your answer, so let's just keep it concise like a
I can't do that yet.
So, very quickly to
I can't
dive
do
into
that
this,
yet.
Alex,
I can't
how
do
would
that
you
yet.
fix
I
the
need a
trade
target.
deficit problem?
Sure, if I was president.
Mm-hmm.
So, there would probably be a combination of things I would do. I would probably, I think giving universal healthcare would help, because when you do that, then the company no longer has to pay the healthcare costs of the workers, which means that they get to save money, which makes them more competitive, at the very least, according to economic theory you believe in. I think another way you can do that
Hang on.
is
So, point one, you would add universal health care.
It's too far away.
I think that's one way to go about
Okay,
it.
so with point one, you just asked
I
very
can't
quickly,
do that yet.
are you saying that countries that have universal health care don't run trade deficit?
Saying that, no.
Does it limit their trade? Does it limit their trade deficit?
I'm out of range.
Why would you add universal health care? Can you mean, like, how would you demonstrate that universal health care would deficit in trade with them if they understand that?
Companies have to pay for healthcare for their employees. True or false?
It's too far away.
Well, I mean,
I
but
can't
they
do
still
that yet. I can't do that yet.
how would you pay for it? How would you pay for
I can't do that yet.
it? Right? Who pays the government?
I can't do that yet.
It's like each person. What do you mean?
Yeah, and so, and who's at the highest tax brackets of those people who are being taxed for universal health care?
Governments would not be. Companies would not be directly paying for their employees' costs.
Okay, yes, hang on. Yes, they. If you are taxed for healthcare, for universal healthcare, the money has to come to pay for it from somewhere. How can you say it's not going to come from top corporations, top earners, or large corporations, large earners? Of course it is. Where else would it come from?
I can't do that.
Because you save a lot of money on bureaucratic costs. It's a lot more efficient. So there's a lot of middlemen. Hang on, there's a middleman called health insurance companies, and they take a big part of our profits. So when you get rid of them, right, and you just go straight for the source, you don't have health insurance companies, you save a lot of money on your owners. Right now,
How would that stop a trade deficit?
I can't do that
because if these companies are not having to pay healthcare costs for their employees, if that's not happening, then therefore that money and they can spend that on potentially maybe lowering the pay for their employees. I mean, raising the pay for their employees. Sorry, or they would hiring more people, right? So that would boost the American economy, or they can lower the price of their goods because the goods are not as expensive to produce. So the price of the goods could go down because again, the company's not spending as much money on people, and therefore that would make them more competitive.
Then I would assume that if we were to look at Canada, that we would see that corporations spend less on healthcare for the government to provide it for citizens per capita than the United States does using the privatized system. Is that correct?
Repeat that.
Canada uses universal healthcare.
Yeah.
Do you think that their corporate tax, that top corporations and the taxes that they pay are lower or higher in Canada?
They are higher. They have a completely different tax structure.
And is universal? How much do you think universal healthcare takes up of their actual budget?
I have no idea. You just asked me for what I believe would help, and that's what I'm doing. I don't know exactly how much Canada spends on
Need
this.
more room.
Gotcha. Okay. So I just want to make sure I get this right. And you think universal health care is going to assist with the deficit? And the reason that it's going to assist with the deficit is because it's going to lessen the cost of the employer to provide health care for the employee.
I can't
Which
do that.
ultimately which will allow the owner of the company to price his goods for less because he's not spending as much money on the employer, which would make his goods more competitive.
So then, can I ask you a question, Alex? How come corporate interests aren't lobbying for universal health care if that's going to lessen their costs when it comes to their employees?
I can't do that yet.
I can speculate. Okay, sure. I think that the reason that they're probably not doing that is because they don't actually see the trade deficit as like a big issue.
No. You said the reason the deficit would go down because with these other nations is because the corporation themselves, it would be cheaper for them to have universal health care for the employees. Yes?
I didn't say it would be cheaper for them. I said, it would be cheaper for the
Well, if it's cheaper for the corporation, why aren't the corporations lobbying for universal health care? Don't they want to have this big tax break?
I can't do that.
I think that it would allow them to sell their goods cheaper.
So that would be
It's
good.
too far away.
So why aren't they lobbying for universal health care?
Can't do that yet.
I don't know why they should try to lobby for it. I just don't have
If you were, well, I don't understand. If you were a corporation, you had tons of bean counters there, and their entire job all day long
I'm
was
out
to
of
save
range.
the company money.
I can't do that yet.
Wouldn't you think
I can't do that yet.
if it was going to save this company a bunch of money to
I
have
can't do that
universal
yet.
health care, that all of them lobby for that. For instance, we can see McDonald's, they use a form of universal health care because it costs them nothing. And what this form is that they pay just under a threshold where people will then qualify for welfare. And then when they qualify for this welfare, they get free health care essentially. And McDonald's doesn't have to pay for it, so they keep the jobs part-time, right? Actually, a pretty smart business. But why is it McDonald's, this giant corporation, can exploit the system, understands it, but other companies, their bean counters can't look at the bottom line and go, well, wait a second, this is really weird. If all of us lobbied at the same exact time to have universal health care, we would likely be able to influence and get it, and then we would be paying way less to our employees. It would be like a big tax break for us. We're going to make more money. Why don't they do that then?
Most likely because corporations think it's just a futile endeavor because they believe that America, especially with the way it is now and how divided it is, will never have universal health care. And I think lobbying for it is just a waste of money.
Okay, so corporations, you would think that, well, I don't understand that. If this was the case and it was going to cause a massive tax decrease, or the tax burden was going to go down, or it was going to save them a lot of money, if you had a corporation, and why wouldn't all corporate interests be donating overwhelmingly to Democrats then? If Democrats are the one proponents of universal health care, why wouldn't they be doing that? That makes no sense. Why wouldn't they put their money where their interest was, which is what all lobbyists do?
Maybe there's other things that they can't do. Maybe they just think it's completely
So wait, if those other things would help them, but if those other things would help them more, Alex, right? Then that would mean that other things other than universal health care would help your logic with the deficit. Yes.
I never said this was the primary way that solve the problem. I just think this doesn't work. I'm just going to solve further things. That was just one of the reasons.
Okay, now let's go to the second.
Okay, sure. So the second trade deficit is probably you could do rebates for certain American products. So, for example, you could have, like, let's say, cars manufactured in the U.S. The federal government could offer like a 4,000 rebate. So that would make the product much more competitive versus the U.S.
Hey, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you can clear to man the position. The government is going to offer rebates on products.
Yeah, on certain products, the government could offer $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 rebate on a certain product. Let's say cars, and then if you do that, then it makes the cars, at the very least in America, much more competitive.
Makes sense. Where does the money for the rebate come from?
The same place the money comes from for the massive tax cut that Trump did, which blew up the deficit.
Yeah, okay, I'm asking you, where's the money come from? Just answer my question, please. The money for the rebate. Where's the money for the rebate that the federal government issues you come from?
You can get some of that money, for example, by eliminating or by raising the taxes for people who offshore their companies. A lot of it will probably blow up the deficit. It seems like we're on track to blow up the deficit every year, no matter whether we have a Republican or Democrat.
So it's going to be a tax increase. So you're essentially what you're saying is that the federal government can increase taxes as an incentive for you to buy. Wait, that's so strange. The government's going to raise taxes in order to incentivize the population to buy American. That sounds a lot like a tariff, Alex.
Andrew, when did I say anything about raising taxes?
I'm sorry. How would these rebates get paid for?
Because we have a budget deficit, and we probably blow up that deficit even further.
So then, wait a second. And where does the federal government get its money to have even a deficit or to have a surplus?
U.S. Treasury bonds. Yeah, that's most of it.
Okay, and who are held by who?
They're mostly held by companies. Some held by Americans. Some held by foreign companies.
People hold them. Americans hold them. So the thing is like, look, all of this is just a tax increase. That's going to that'll still increase the price of goods. All you're saying here is, so what would be the difference then if Trump says, okay, the steel industry
I
here.
need to get closer.
We're going to tear up the shit out of China's steel industry. But don't you worry, we'll offer you a rebate. We'll offer you a rebate on the offset. Would you be okay with that?
Tariff the shit out of the Chinese industry.
Yeah, and then you subsidize the companies that are taking a hit. You subsidize those companies taking the hit, right, from the tariff. Would you have any issue with that?
I think that's a lot better of a solution, but the main concern for me at that point becomes that, well, because then you're going to have, like, the American steel be less competitive.
How would it be less competitive? It's the same solution that you're offering.
I'm not talking anything about trash. I'm trying to answer the question. It becomes less competitive because China puts tariff on it, and therefore, in China, that American steel becomes less competitive compared to Chinese steel, Russian steel, whatever the fuck it is.
But I don't understand. The policy is exactly the same. If you offer a rebate to an American who buys an American product, you're incentivizing them to buy the product because they get a rebate. Yeah, I understand there's no tariff, but it's the same system. It would be the same system of offsetting whatever the income pain, whatever the pain was. Why couldn't you just offer a corporation the same rebate?
So I think offsetting it makes it better, but I still have a problem with the tariff for the reason that I mentioned.
What?
Did you not hear me?
Just the export aspect of it?
Export aspect of it.
Okay, so what you're saying is subsidies. So, okay, what's your third reason?
Okay, sure. I mean, like, how many of these do you want to get into?
Well, you said you had 3 or 4.
Okay. I'm just thinking of these on the fly. The third way that I think that you could deal with a trade deficit is, I think, incentivize American companies to really develop certain goods.
It's
I think
too far.
high-tech sectors,
can't
microchips,
do
for
that yet.
example, which
I
is I'm a
can't
big
do
fan
that
of the
yet.
chips act,
I
because
can't
what
do that
you make it really easy
I can't
for
do that yet.
companies to open up chips plant. You give them a massive tax incentive for doing that.
Subsidies.
Sure, yeah, for the plant, and I think that that potential that industry, if America's developing it and they're very competitive in it due to whatever incentives the government gave, then I think that's also a good way to because they can develop a better product. I think that's a good way to set.
And then do you have a fourth?
I can't do that yet.
I just go with these three for now.
Okay, so this is your plan. Alex's plan, or what your plan would be in order to offset deficits with other nations, would be to have our government subsidize our industries in order to keep the incentive for these businesses to stay here.
Do that yet.
That's your plan. It's all subsidization, meaning the government. You want the government to pay corporate interests to stay here. Yet, at the same time, you seem to be upset with Trump's tax cuts, which were massive subsidies to corporate interests to stay here. How do you reconcile that out?
Well, you're asking me about how I would
Yeah, because you're critical of Trump. Trump not being pro-worker.
I can't do that yet.
So everything you
I can't
just
do that
named
yet.
is a way to subsidize. Everything you just named is a way to
I can't do
subsidize
that
companies in order to incentivize them to stay here. Because then, if they
can't
stay
do that
here,
yet.
the cost of the goods with the subsidies is going to decrease.
Can't do
Yet
that
Trump
yet.
did exactly what you're saying. He offered a 30% tax decrease to corporations, a massive fucking subsidy, right? And you have a problem with it.
Well, because under the Trump presidency, we saw
Need more.
2,000 manufacturing.
Not enough.
It's your same policy, Alex. Same policy.
I can't do that yet.
So your policy wouldn't work.
No, my policy. Well, first of all, I'm not claiming that my policy is like ultra successful. I'm clearly engaged in a hypothetical debate.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even, I didn't. Wait. What hypothetical? I asked you a question. Alex is in charge. What would Alex do?
That's a hypothetical.
What would Alex? Yeah, that's true. It is. I agree. But the question was, if you were in charge, hypothetically, I agree with that. What would you do to offset
I can't do that
deficits?
yet.
You said,
can't
what I
do
would
that
do
yet.
is I would incentivize American companies to lower their product costs by getting rebates to people who offer their more expensive products and subsidize them. I would subsidize the companies themselves by lowering healthcare costs. I would also offer subsidies for them to stay here at a local level, and here's the various subsidies that I would offer. And yet, Trump offered all of these same types of subsidies, just packaged as a massive 30% tax increase. Massive, what you would consider to be like maybe corporate welfare even. At least from your view. Now, I don't even consider this a subsidy, but you would. You would consider the 30% tax increase to be subsidizing the company, just like if you said you can move here and we won't charge you any localized taxes, that would be a subsidy. So the thing is like, your same plan for keeping industry here in the United States is to offer huge amounts of subsidies to corporations. Same exact thing that Trump did. It's just that you don't want to touch tariffs for some reason. I have no idea how you reconcile this, because you can offer the same rebates, same everything, and tariffs, and then it's only industry specific. What? That seems like a way better plan than trying to do like rebates on all goods manufactured in the United States so that you can be competitive. Just target the specific goods, right?
So I can't do that. If you want to have a separate debate about what is the best way to address trade deficits,
well, outside of Alex, it is the same debate. I'll explain why my questions are relevant and why it's the same debate. Because if it is the case that Trump is not pro-worker because of targeting tariffs, which is negligibly, or raise the price on goods. Let's just say not even negligent. They raise the price on goods. Okay. You're saying under an Alex administration that
I can't do that yet.
Still, to address the deficit, you're going to have to raise the price on goods by raising taxes. But the only way that you can offset that is with. And to incentivize your companies to stay is with subsidies, the same thing that Trump did. And so
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah, how could you offer a massive corporate welfare and raise taxes?
I can't do that yet.
well, did Biden raise taxes?
Yes.
I can't do that yet. I can't do that yet.
Well, he's going to, first of all, they're going to the plan was to let Trump's it's to let them expire. That's a massive tax increase.
Yes, but that didn't happen.
It wouldn't happen if he had gotten a second term.
You can spend more money than you have. You can get more treasury bonds, right? Because right now we have our own sovereign currency, and still the U.S. dollar is the strongest dollar. So you can absolutely 100%. You can secure more money through treasury bonds. And you can, for example,
how much money do you think you can secure in a treasury bond?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
I have no idea. It's not a claim to make it.
Yes, it is. You said you can secure more money in a treasury bond, and then I asked you, well, how much can you secure in a treasury bond? And you said, I don't know.
Do you not think that the president and Congress can blow the deficit without raising taxes?
Yeah, of course. In fact, they can blow up the debt. Yeah, sure, but nobody's disputing whether or not you can do deficit spending without raising taxes. I'm just saying, well, the whole thing we're trying to address here is the deficit. And I don't understand how you would address that and make it a surplus, a trade surplus with another nation.
Now you're just changing it. You're not changing it.
No, I'm talking about the deficit, the trade deficit with other nations. That's what we're talking about. I don't understand. I wasn't talking about the budget deficit ever.
I can't do that yet.
Okay, so then why would you ask about raising taxes?
Because I don't understand. I still don't. I don't understand this concept. Alex's problem is the higher price of goods from the tariffs, bad for work, right? However, Alex also concedes that if we raise corporate taxes, there's going to be an increased price of goods as well, because they're going to pass on, whatever their offset is to the consumer. It's like a hidden tax. So you agree with that too. So the idea here is, since the only way the government can raise revenue is either through corporations with tariffs or private citizens, this kind of thing, that's the only way they can raise revenue.
I can't do that.
So when I ask you, how would you deal with the trade deficit? That's what I asked you, not the nation's deficit. The trade deficit meaning this country over here, right? They get way more from us than we do from them. So they have a surplus, right? And we have a deficit. That's the point, right? So I'm talking about I'm talking about those, okay? I'm talking about the deficit with other nations.
That's a fun fact. We probably
I
saw
can't do that yet. I can't do that yet.
Yeah, the deficit increased. Yes, that is the case, but it was already increasing. So the thing is like, and it's going to continue to increase. So ultimately, what I'm saying to you is, how do you address that? How do you address a trade deficit with a country where
They can't join our group. I can't do that yet. I don't have a target.
The fuck? Why is it running so hot? Now what's causing it to run hot?
Need more rage.
What's up? Keep it real. Glad I could help. Hurry back.
I'm out of range. I can't do that yet. can't do that yet. I need to target something first. I can't do that yet. It's too far away. I can't do that yet. 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 I need a target. I can't do that yet. 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 of range. I can't do that yet. 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 Can't do that yet. I 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 can't do that yet. It's still recharging.
I'm debating if I want to go back to Hunter. I don't know.
Oh, these are nice. Real nice. Good job, adventurer. I look forward to seeing more of your work in the future.
Great. Ah, I see you've been busy lurking in the grasses and hunting prowlers. Do you think then it is time to face a champion among them?
Ah, yes, these are good specimens. Potent. I am forsaken, and we honor our contracts. Here is your reward, adventurer. I have rendered the spores you gave me into an emulsion. I must now send it to my associate, Apothecary Zama. If you were to carry this to her, she can offer you something from our stores of alchemical goods. She is in the Pools of Vision, a cave beneath the shamans of Thunder Bluff. The path to this cave is well hidden, but you may find it on the Spirit Rise Bluff. Do hurry. This emulsion will maintain its potency for only a short time, and must be resealed and processed before then.
Strength.
Talk to me. Be seeing ya.
do that yet.
Elemental better than. That's kind of crazy. Oh.